When you open the Revel side door, the first thing you see is this. These are the switches for the awning lights and awning control, for the porch light, and for the lights in the running board. And then this one is one that a regular Revel doesn't have. This is the speed control for my fridge. Link to that video is down in the description. But anyway, I don't think this is very pretty. I mean, it's two different styles of switches in three different clusters. Some of them are not even installed straight. So overall, I think it can be improved on. And this is exactly what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to replace all of this with this. A custom-made faceplate with a bunch of light switches. More light switches than I have in here. So these are 8 light switches instead of just the 3 here. It has all the switches for the awning control for my fridge. And well, I think it looks a lot prettier. So let me show you how I made this and how I'm installing it. I took out all the switches and the socket. And now I can measure the distance between these two trim pieces here, left and right, these black ones, and then the one at the bottom and the bottom of the countertop. I want the new faceplate to sit inside of this black kind of frame thing. I have a lot of these polycarbonate sheets left over from a previous project, so this is what I will be using to make the faceplate from. Polycarbonate can easily be cut on the table saw. Here's the result. Fits in very nicely and covers the entire surface. It also covers all the holes that I need for the socket and for the tabletop extension. This polycarbonate is clear. It is just covered with a protective layer. It is still translucent enough that I can use a light, put it behind here, and then I can trace out where I need to cut the holes. Right here, over here, and then around the socket. I want to cut these notches and the cutout for the socket with a router, with a templating bit. It has that ball bearing here and it can follow, well, a template. So I had to make a template, which is this one. These are the 2 notches for the top, and this is for the socket. And I aligned it in a way that if this side of the template is aligned with this side of the faceplate, then I'm in the right position for this notch. And if I slide it over and align this side of the template with this side of the faceplate, then I'm aligned for this cutout here. And if I turn it around and align the top with the top and the side with the side, then I'm in the right position for the socket. So I can make 3 cuts, all with the router, all following the template, and that gives me really nice cutouts in this faceplate. And yes, building a template for just a single faceplate might look a little excessive. I have no intention to mass produce these things, but I'm pretty sure in the process of building this one, I will mess up eventually and I have to redo the whole thing. And having this, which takes like 10 minutes to make, will make it way more easy to make more of these. Quick public service announcement. If you want to build something like this, or really anything out of clear plastic, and you walk into your local hardware store, they most likely sell different grades of, well, clear plastic. They might have classified them as like good, better, best, or you just see it by the price tag. They might say one is like 10 times stronger than glass, the other one is like 100 times stronger than glass. But what it really comes down to is whether the material is acrylic, like this, or polycarbonate, like this. They look identical. I mean, they are both clear plastic, but the properties are very different. Let me show you. In all my projects, I'm using polycarbonate, which is the way more expensive option. But I mean, we are talking about small pieces here, so it doesn't really matter. Let me show you how easily it can be drilled into. I mean, it's clear plastic, but it makes a very nice and clean hole. Now let's try with the acrylic. It's the same drill press, same settings, everything's the same. Well, and it cracked. While it is certainly stronger than glass, it is very, well, I wouldn't say brittle, but it cannot be cut easily. It cannot be drilled into easily, and it can certainly not be routed with the router like polycarbonate. So please do not try to cut or route or drill into acrylic. It will most likely not work. Spend more money on polycarbonate and everything will be fine. Oh, by the way, if you happen to have a laser cutter, then it's the exact opposite. Polycarbonate cannot be cut with the laser cutter. It will just melt. Acrylic, on the other side, can easily be cut with the laser cutter. But if you have a laser cutter, of course, then you don't need a table saw or a router to put holes into it. So laser cutter, acrylic, everything else, polycarbonate. Then I spent a few hours with my favorite design software to draw the faceplate. First, I marked where I need to make cuts into the faceplate for the tabletop extension up here and for the socket. And then I started placing the actual switches and add the labeling for the awning control, for all the light switches, for the fridge speed control. Link to that video is down in the video description. And because I had more space over here and I needed more switches, well, I just added a bunch more. Then I also added my logo, made it nice and round. I thought, hey, why not adding the Revel logo as well? And I could also experiment with various background colors. I think I go for white, but I'm not sure about that yet. And then, once I'm happy with everything, well, I just printed it. I'm just kidding. I don't need this printed on a piece of paper. Instead, I printed it as a mirror image on this water slide transfer paper. Is that what it's called? It's this stuff right here. And this is specifically for a laser printer. If you ever build some scale models, I'm sure you know this stuff. It gets soaked in water and then it releases the backing paper and the actual print can be slid onto whatever surface it needs to go on. And then I made two more. And this time I used a squeegee to flatten the water transfer paper as much as possible. Each one I did turned out way better than the one before. I let the water transfer paper dry for several days. And now I'm ready to drill the holes, or at least a pilot hole. I printed a little red dot here where I need to drill. I don't know if you can see this on camera. This little red dot lights up very bright when aligned with the laser guidelines of my drill press. One down, 10 to go. Well, there's the red dot that I need to drill into, and then there's the reflection of the red dot on the other side of this clear plastic. So I need to be careful to drill into the dot and not into the reflection of the dot. And of course, these are just pilot holes. They are way too small for the actual switches. The plastic is still transparent, and of course I cannot put that over the existing cutouts. That wouldn't look very good, and there's really no contrast for those stickers that I printed. So in the next step, I'm going to spray paint this whole thing from the back. This will seal in the water decal and give it the background color I want, white in this case. Well, now that the paint is dry, I have a nice white background. I think it looks really sharp. I show you a more detailed picture in a bit when I install the switches. I now need to drill the holes to the bigger size, 16 millimeters. But before I do, I want to add a layer of vinyl to the back, and this will protect the paint from any scratches, especially when I screw in the switches with the nut at the back. So this with the vinyl, the nut cannot really dig into the paint and eventually show on the other side. And because I pre-drilled all these holes, it is now really easy to drill them to their final size of 16 millimeters. Well, and here's the result with all the holes drilled. This one has an all-white background, and I made a second one which is a little bit yellow on the outside. So when I spray painted it, I put a little bit of yellow around the edges, and then I filled in the rest with white. Haven't really decided yet which version I will be using. Now I can put the switches in. They just drop in from the front, and then a nut goes onto the back and lock them in place. Like so. Do that 11 times and I'm done. The switches come with a socket, this one. So the switch plugs into this one, and then I can connect it to the van via these cables here. The existing switches in the van all have these spade connectors in the back. So if I add the same style of spade connector to my new cables connecting to the new switches, then I can just plug them into the existing wiring blocks in the van. 1, 2, 3, and the yellow one I don't need. Continuity is really bad in this video. I'm filming everything over several weeks and I don't even remember what I filmed the last time. So if you notice any gaps in the timeline or something doesn't line up or doesn't really make any sense, well, I apologize. Anyway, I think I'm ready now to install everything in the van. Of course, the existing cutouts in the cabinet don't align with the holes I need for the new switches. So I removed all the existing switches and then I can mark where I need to drill the new holes for my new switches. This is where I need to drill holes. Instead of drilling all those holes individually, I will just make some larger cuts for the entire block. This gives me a little more wiggle room with everything, and really, since the faceplate, the new one, covers the whole thing, it doesn't really matter. Now I need to make the electrical connections. And I think earlier in the video I said I can just plug in the spade connectors of my new switch sockets into the terminal blocks of the old sockets. And this is for sure an option, but I think I don't like that. And instead I will cut it off here, and I cut it off here, and I make a nice solder connection between those two. I think this is much nicer. It saves me this big terminal block being stashed in here somewhere, and well, overall prettier, I think. After about an hour of splicing cables, this is what it looks like. It's quite a mess. Well, sunset is in about 30 minutes, and we might also get some rain. So I'll move back into the garage. And with all the cable connections made and all the switches put into the front panel, I should be able to install this thing. Nice fit. On this side, the whole panel is held in place with the socket. And on this side, I think I just put some kind of vinyl sticker material alongside here, and perhaps down the bottom as well, but it is such a nice fit that it doesn't move at all. So, well, I will see how it works out. It looks really good on the outside. Now I need to make it a little prettier on the inside. Well, not so much for the looks, but let me show you. So behind the switches is where all those cables are now bundled up, and obviously they would interfere with the drawer right now. So I need to tidy it up a little bit and put them behind this rail here. Should be easy because there's really a lot of room between the rail and the face of the cabinet. There's plenty of room in here. Well, okay, it is not super pretty, but it is functional. It will no longer interfere with the drawer, and that's obviously the main objective. So let me give you the final rundown. I have 8 light switches in those 2 sections. The 3 original ones for the awning light, for the porch light over the driver's side door, and for the floorboards. And then additional ones that I will be wiring up in the future. If a light turns on, then the control button lights up in yellow. And I've only wired up these 3 for now. Then this one is the speed control for my fridge. If it's on normal speed, well, the button is not lit up. And if I turn it into max cooling mode, then it lights up in blue. And then for the awning control, these buttons are not lit up right now at all, because the safety switch that I installed a couple of months ago is not turned on. So if I turn the safety switch on, well, now the extend awning button lights up in red, and the retract awning button lights up in green. So if I press it, the awning comes out. Stop. If I press this one, the awning goes back in. These are momentary switches, non-latching, and all of these ones, obviously, they are latching switches. If I turn the safety switch off for the awning, well, then the lights go out, which is a pretty good indication that, well, the awning is not working right now, and it will remind me that I have to turn the safety switch on if I want to operate the awning. By the way, if you don't want to make your own faceplate, here's an alternative. I still made my design, but then instead of doing this water slide transfer stuff and cutting my own polycarbonate sheets, I uploaded the design to signs.com, and then I ordered, well, a plastic sign in the right size, 17 by I think 6.5. I still had to drill my holes, but that's about it, right? Everything else was printed by them and it looks really, really sharp. Nice lines, nice colors, and cost only, I think, about $30. Science.com, not sponsored. And that is all I had for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.